I never thought I'd hear my own flesh and blood spit those words at me like venom. His eyes cold as the winter wind off Lake Michigan, while I lay in that hospital bed fighting for every shallow breath. "You won't see a cent," he'd hissed, leaning in close enough that I could smell the cheap cologne masking his sweat. The same one he'd worn to my husband's funeral like it was just another boardroom pitch. But that was before the nurse handed me the ticket stub for my purse, the one I'd bought on a whim after chemo. My name scrawled in my shaky cursive, and his face crumpled like a house of cards in a hurricane. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But mine started simmering hot the day I took the rap for Tommy's screw-up, back when he was still my golden boy, not the serpent coiled in my son's skin. It was 2008, the economy tanking like a drunk stumbling off a bar stool in Chicago's Loop. And I was Alexandra Hayes, 42, slinging coffee at a corner Starbucks while my husband, Rick, chased real estate dreams that evaporated faster than morning fog off the lake. Tommy was 20, fresh out of community college with a business degree that sounded fancier than it was, interning at some fly-by-night investment firm downtown. "Mom, this is it," he'd say, eyes gleaming like he'd already cracked the code to Wall Street. "We're gonna be set." I believed him. God help me, I did. Rick and I were scraping by, mortgage on our 2-bedroom in Evanston eating half our paychecks, Tommy's tuition loans piling up like unpaid parking tickets. So when Tommy came home one night, pale as a ghost under the fluorescent kitchen light, mumbling about a mix-up at work, I didn't press. Not at first. He paced the linoleum, hands raking through his hair, the same sandy mop I'd cut since he was knee-high. "It's nothing, Ma. Just paperwork. But if they find out, I'm done. Prison done. Everything gone." Turned out, paperwork meant he'd cooked the books on a client account, siphoned a few grand to cover his poker debts, thinking no one would notice in the chaos of the crash. Embezzlement, they called it later, a felony that could have landed him in Cook County for a decade. The firm was small, shady enough to hush it up if someone else fell on the sword. And Tommy, with that puppy dog plea in his voice, looked at me like I was his last lifeboat. "You're the only one who gets me, Mom. Dad would kill me. Please." I don't know why I said yes. Maybe it was the way Rick had been distant, buried in his own failures, or the bone-deep exhaustion of loving a kid who'd always been too smart for his own good. Or maybe it was that secret I'd buried since high school, the one about Tommy's real father. A one-night mistake with a drifter who'd vanished before the stick turned pink. I'd raised him as Rick's, lied to everyone, because blood or not, he was mine. So I forged the signature, fudged the dates, made it look like I'd been the one dipping into the till during my part-time admin gig there. A lie Tommy fed the investigators to cover his ass. The feds bought it hook, line, and sinker. Probation, community service, a felony record that blackballed me from every decent job in the city. Rick stuck around for the optics, family man and all, but the trust curdled. We'd fight in whispers after Tommy's bedtime, his voice like gravel. "You threw it all away for him, Alex." For what? I lost the house in the divorce, sold my wedding ring to cover legal fees, and ended up crashing on couches. Then in a studio walk-up in Pilsen where the L train rattled my windows like God's own alarm clock. Tommy? He graduated, landed a cushy spot at a bigger firm, climbed the ladder like it was greased with my tears. "Thanks, Mom," he'd say over obligatory brunches at Wildberry Pancakes, slipping me $100 here, $2 there, like pocket change for the woman who'd sold her soul. I swallowed it, told myself it was worth it. He was my boy. My redemption. Fast forward 15 years. I'm 57 now. Bones brittle from factory shifts at a South Side warehouse. Packing widgets for Amazon until my fingers bled. Rick's remarried. Living large in Florida, with a nurse half his age. Tommy's a VP at Goldman Sachs' Chicago outpost. Married to Lauren. A Pilates instructor with a laugh like tinkling glass and a trust fund that makes my blood boil. They've got a kid. Little Emma, who calls me Nana Alex in those rare video calls where Tommy's face fills the screen. All teeth and tailored suits. Cancer hit like a freight train last spring. Stage 3. Pancreatic, the oncologist said, his voice flat as the MRI scans. Aggressive. But treatable. If you're lucky. Lucky.
Huh.
I cashed in my 401k, a whopping 12 grand, and started chemo at Northwestern. The kind where they pump poison into your veins and pray it doesn't kill you first. Tommy visited once. In the early days, bearing lilies that wilted faster than his patience. We'll get you the best docs.
Mom.
Private room. But the checks never came. Lauren's texts were all emojis and thoughts and prayers. By October, I was a ghost haunting my own body. Hair shedding like autumn leaves, skin sallow under the hospital fluorescence. That's when Tommy showed up unannounced, striding into my room like he owned the ward. Armani suit crisp against the beeping monitors. Lauren waited in the hall, scrolling her phone, oblivious. He pulled the chair close, elbows on knees, voice low and urgent. The family stretched thin.
Ma.
Emma's tuition. Lauren's studio lease. It's brutal out there. But I've got a plan. Trust transfer. You sign over power of attorney. I'll handle everything. Medical bills. End-of-life stuff. You won't have to worry. I eyed him. That familiar glint in his eye, the one from the kitchen floor all those years ago. What's the catch? Tommy? He leaned in, breath minty fresh. No catch.
Just.
Protecting what's yours. For us. But his fingers drummed the armrest. A tell I'd known since he was 5 and stealing cookies. I signed. Too weak to fight. The pen scratching like claws on my heart. What did I have left? A drawer of unpaid bills. A cat named Shadow who'd probably outlive me. 2 days later, the hammer fell. My social worker, Maria, a tough broad from Little Village with a no-bullshit stare, pulled me aside during rounds. MS. Hayes, your insurance lapsed. And that POA? Your son's firm just drained your checking rent. Utilities, even your chemo copays. Said it was for estate planning.
Drained.
The word echoed like a slammed door. All 12 grand.
Gone. Poof.
Into his family needs. I confronted him that night, phone trembling in my four-tangled hand. Tommy? What the hell? His voice crackled through the speaker. Smooth as silk. Mom, it's temporary. You'll get it back.
Promise.
But right now, you won't see a cent. Not until you're stable. Doctor's orders, stress isn't good for you. Liar. It wasn't stress he was dodging, it was the mirror. The same boy I'd saved from the fire, now torching me to stay warm. I hung up, chest heaving, the monitors screeching like banshees. That's when the nurse, a sweet kid named Jamal from the South Side, Found my purse rifling for tissues. Out tumbled the lottery ticket, Powerball. Bought on a whim at the corner bodega after my last good shift. I'd scratched it half-assed, too nauseous to check the numbers. But Jamal's eyes bugged. MS.
Hayes.
This is a winner. Big one. 300 million. Jackpot. The room spun. Not relief, rage.
Pure.
Volcanic. My name was on it, right there in faded ink. Alexandra Hayes. Not Tommy's. Not the family's.
Mine.
And in that moment, as Jamal hooped for the charge nurse, I saw it clear as the foredrip. This wasn't just money. It was my gallows rope. My phoenix fire. Tommy had buried me once. I'd rise and bury him back. But secrets have teeth. And mine bit first. That night, fever dreaming under morphine haze, I remembered the clause in the POA, the one I'd glossed over in my haze. Full asset control. The ticket? It was paper. Traceable. But once claimed, the funds funneled through his lawyers. He'd sniff it out before the first deposit cleared.
No.
This time, I'd play smart. Scheming like he taught me. All those boardroom stories of cutthroat deals. First call, a burner phone from Jamal's cousin. A PI named Rico, who owed me for covering his Moss shifts back in the warehouse days. Dig on Tommy Hayes, I rasped. Everything. And Lauren. The kid, too. Rico chuckled.
Gravelly.
For you, Alex? Consider it pro bono. By dawn. Files pinged my cracked iPhone, Tommy's offshore accounts. Skimmed from clients, just like the old days. Lauren's studio, a front for laundering his bonuses. Even Emma's trust fund seeded with dirty cash. The betrayal wasn't new. It was generational. A poison I'd let fester. But the secret? The one I'd chiseled into my marrow? Tommy wasn't Rick's. He was the drifter's Jack Harlan. A ghost I'd tracked once. Dying in a Vegas flophouse. Leaving nothing but regrets. I'd shielded Tommy from that truth. Thinking it mercy. Now, it was my ace. Discharge came a week later. Me hobbling out on a walker. Chemo-ravaged, but alive with spite. The lottery office in Springfield was a circus. Forms, IDs. A notary who eyed my gaunt frame like I might keel over. Tax implications. MS. Hayes, he droned, but I tune him out. Mind racing. Lump sum. $200 mill after Uncle Sam. Annuity?
Nah.
I wanted it now.
To burn if I had to.
Tommy called as I signed the final dotted line. Voice oily.
Mom?
Lauren says you're home. How are you feeling? Like a winner, I said, the word dripping acid. Silence. Then a laugh. Nervous. Probing.
Great.
We should talk assets. That POA. Revoked it this morning. I cut in, bluffing hard. Rico had coached me, file the paperwork retro, claim duress. It'd tie up courts for months. But the seed was planted. And Tommy, that ticket you protected, my name's on it. Every cent. The line went dead. I smiled into the receiver. The first real one in months.
Round one, mine.
But revenge isn't a sprint. It's a marathon through hell. And Tommy, he was just warming up. The wind off Lake Michigan whipped my thin jacket as I stood on the Adler Planetarium Pier, staring at the Chicago skyline like it owed me answers. 2 weeks post-lotto. And the lump sum had cleared, $198 million after fees. Wired to a Cayman Trust Rico set up faster than you can say tax haven. No more warehouse grind. No more ramen nights. But freedom tasted like ash when your son stole in your sleep with nightmares of what-ifs. I'd rented a loft in the West Loop, exposed brick. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the freight train snaking through the city like veins. It screamed, "New me," but every creak echoed the old one's ghosts. Tommy didn't call back for 3 days. When he did, it was from a blocked number. Voice all honeyed concern. "Mom, Lauren's worried. That revocation, it's a mistake. Right? We can fix it. Dinner at RPM steak? My treat." I almost laughed. RPM, where he proposed to her over a $2,000 bottle of cab. Toasting to family first. "Sure," I said, keeping it light. Tomorrow. 7. Rico's dossier burned a hole in my laptop. Tommy's flips were legendary. Started with the embezzlement, blamed a dead intern first, then me when cornered. At Goldman, he'd tanked a merger by leaking to competitors, then played hero by uncovering it, pocketing a finder's fee. Lauren? Complicit. Her yoga retreats code for schmoozing marks in Napa. And the kid, Emma, 6 years old. Innocent eyes in the photos. But her gifted private school tuition? Funded by the same slush fund I'd enabled all those years ago.
Dinner was a powder keg.
He arrived late. Lauren on his arm in a sheath dress that hugged her like a second skin. All blonde highlights and Botox smiles. "Alexandra, you look radiant." Liar. I was gaunt. "Wig askew." But the emerald necklace I'd bought at Tiffany, first splurge, caught the light like a dare. We ordered fillets for them, salad for me, chemo appetite still a joke. Small talk flowed like the overpriced wine. Emma's ballet recital. The Bears' losing streak. My miraculous recovery. Then Tommy leaned in.
Fork poised.
About the ticket. "Congrats."
Ma.
Life-changing. But that POA mess, lawyers say it's ironclad. Duress? Weak sauce. Sign it back. And we're square. I'll even cut you a check. 10 mil. Up front. Lauren nodded. Eyes glassy. For your health. And ours. Family sticks together. I sipped my water, letting the silence stretch. The steakhouse hum, clinking silver, murmured deals, felt like the city's pulse. Indifferent to the knife twisting in my gut. "Family," I echoed. "Like when I went down for your theft. Tommy, covered your ass while you climbed? That family?" His fork clattered. Color drained from his face. But he recovered slick, flipped to contrite in a blink. Water under the bridge.
Mom.
Ancient history. I paid you back. Didn't I?
A lie.
Those hundreds were crumbs. Lauren's hand fluttered to her throat. "What theft?"
Tommy.
"You never." "Shut it, babe," he snapped, then soft-pedaled. "Alex.
Please.
Emma needs stability. You want your granddaughter homeless?" Manipulation 101. But I had my own flip ready. I slid a folder across the table, Rico's printouts. Redacted just enough to sting. Offshore wires to the Caymans. Timestamps matching Lauren's trips. Stability? Like this? Or the merger leak in 19, where you framed your VP for your bonus. Sign the revocation clean. Or this hits the Sun-Times. Front page. Goldman heirs House of Cards. Chaos erupted. Lauren gasped. Napkin to mouth. Tommy's eyes narrowed to slits. That schemer's glint flashing. Blackmail?
From you?
After everything I did. He stood, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. You're unhinged.
Mom.
Cancer's fried your brain. I'll fight this. Courts love a devoted son against a vengeful hag. He stormed out, Lauren trailing like a scolded pup. I sat there, heart hammering, the waiter eyeing the untouched plates. Worth it? Hell yes. But as I paid the bill, $800, petty cash now, the doubt crept in. Was I the monster here, weaponizing his sins against him? Or just evening the scales? The next morning, the pushback hit. Emails from his lawyers at Kirkland and Ellis, cease and desist. Defamation threats. Demands for the lotto funds as reparations for my fraudulent POA revocation. A PI of his own tailed me to Whole Foods, snapping pics of my lavish grocery haul, kale and kombucha. For Christ's sake. Then the call from Rick, my ex, voice booming from his Boca condo. Heard from Tommy. Says you're off the rails.
Alex.
Harassing him over old shit. For Emma's sake. Back off. Even my dead husband's ghost weighed in via text from Lauren. Rick sends his love. Please. Think of the family. Family. The words sour my coffee. I hunkered down, fortifying. Rico installed cameras at the loft, discreet, like the ones in casino high-roller suites. I hired a therapist,
Dr.
Lena, a no-nonsense shrink from Hyde Park who specialized in familial trauma. Revenge is grief in disguise, she'd say, her office smelling of chamomile and regret. But I wasn't grieving, I was plotting. The secret about his father? Locked in a safe deposit box.
Key around my neck on a chain.
Not yet. Let him squirm. Tommy's next move was classic flip, contrition via proxy. A bouquet arrived, roses, blood red, with a card. Sorry for the outburst. Let's talk. Love. Your son. Enclosed, a draft of the POA revocation. Notarized blank. But Rico's bug on Lauren's phone caught the real play. He's escalating, Rico warned over burner. Talking hit on your credibility, fake psych eval. Claim you're incompetent. Nursing home.
Conservatorship.
The works.
Bastard.
The boy who'd begged for mercy, now scheming to warehouse me like yesterday's trash. I countered with a leak, anonymous tip to Crane's Chicago business about Goldman's internal irregularities. Nothing direct. Just enough smoke to choke his promotion. Shares dipped 2%, his boss called. Voice tinny on the intercepted line. Clean this up, Hayes, or you're out.
Panic set in.
He showed at the loft unannounced.
Pounding the door at midnight.
Rain-slicked and wild-eyed. I buzzed him up. Glock 19 new purchase. Concealed carry permit rushed, tucked in my waistband. Paranoia? Maybe. But Chicago nights teach you caution. He burst in. Suit rumpled. Reeking of bourbon. What the fuck? Mom? That leak. You're ruining me. Flip again. Rage to tears in seconds. Collapsing on my Eames couch like a puppet with cut strings. I didn't mean it. The money. The POA, it was for us. For Emma. You're killing your own blood. I stood over him. The city lights casting long shadows. Blood? You want blood? I gave you mine, prison bars instead of yours. Now you drain me dry. The words hung, heavy as the humid air. He looked up, schemer's mask cracking. You think that was easy, watching you go down? I hated myself. But you chose it. For love. A beat. Then the twist of the knife. And Dad knew about the drifter. Rick told me, after the divorce. Said you lied to us all. Tommy's not even his. The room tilted. He'd known. All these years. Carrying that bomb. Using it now like a shield. My hand itched for the Glock, but I breathed deep.
Dr.
Lena's voice in my head. Don't let him define your rage. Instead, I flipped the script. Knew and stayed silent while you built your empire on my lies. Sign the paper.
Tommy.
Walk away clean. Or the world learns Daddy wasn't Rick, and neither was your halo. He signed, hand shaking, the pen gouging the page. You're dead to me, he whispered, fleeing into the storm. Victory? It felt like swallowing glass. But as the door slammed, my phone buzzed, unknown number. Lauren's voice. Hushed. Frantic. Alex? It's me. He's worse than you know. Meet me. Tomorrow. The Bean. I have proof. Ally or another flip. The game's board shifted, and I was all in. Chips down.
No fold.
The Bean gleamed under the October sun. That massive kidney-shaped mirror warping the skyline into funhouse lies. Much like the family I'd built. Lauren waited by the south curve, bundled in a Burberry trench that screamed old money. Her blonde bob whipping in the wind off Millennium Park. No Emma. No Tommy, just her. Fidgeting with a flash drive like it was a live grenade. Alexandra, she said, air-kissing my cheeks European style, though she'd grown up in Winnetka. Thank God. He's spiraling. We walked the loop. Tourists snapping selfies oblivious to the drama unfolding in their backdrop. Lauren spilled it fast. Voice a conspiratorial murmur. Tommy's latest scheme, a pump and dump on crypto. Roping in Lauren's Pilates clients as exclusive investors. Millions at stake. But the SEC sniffing close. He used the POA money as seed, she confessed. Eyes darting. Your 12 grand? It was the trigger. And now, with the lotto.
He's obsessed.
Thinks you're hoarding it to spite him.
Spite.
If only it were that simple. Why tell me? I asked, the Bean reflecting our distorted faces, hers wide-eyed, mine shadowed. You're his wife. She stopped, clutching the railing.
Was.
Filed papers this morning. He flipped on me last night, accused me of leaking to you. But it's Emma. I won't let him drag her down like he did you. A pause. Then the hook. The drive has everything, emails, ledgers. Enough to bury him. Use it. For her. I took it. The plastic warm from her palm. But trust? Scarce as an honest cabbie in O'Hare traffic. Rico vetted her story that afternoon. Divorce docs filed. Indeed, a restraining order pending. Lauren was flipping sides. From accomplice to avenger. Motivated by that primal mom bear pull. Respect. But in this family, loyalty was a coin toss. Tommy's retaliation was swift. A masterclass in moxie. By evening, my inbox flooded. Paparazzi shots from his PI. Splashed across TMZ. Lotto grannies viewed with Wall Street scion. Dementia or vendetta? The spin?
Me.
The bitter ex-con mom. Gaslighting her devoted son over imagined slights. Comments rolled in. Lock her up again. Entitled hag milking the system. Polarizing. Just like the city. Half cheering the underdog widow. Half baying for my blood.
Dr.
Lena upped my sessions to twice weekly. This is escalation, she warned. Her South Side drawl cutting through the therapy speak. You're not just fighting him, you're fighting the narrative he built. The good son myth. She was right. I'd enabled it, swallowing silence. Playing martyr.
Now, time to rewrite.
I went public on my terms. A Medium post, ghostwritten by Rico's niece, a J-school grad with fire. The cost of loyalty, how I saved my son and lost myself. No names at first, just the bones, the embezzlement, the fall.
The drain.
It went viral, retweets from Me Too moms, shares in our /true crime. Then the pivot, but redemption isn't free. Ask the ones left holding the bag. Tommy countered with a tearjerker interview on WGN Morning News. Eyes misty under studio lights. My mom's been through hell, cancer, the record. I just wanted to help. This story. Delusions. Please. Respect our privacy. Flip again, victim now. The prodigal son wronged by a troubled parent. Public split down the middle. Team Tommy trending with prayers. Justice for Alex with pitchforks. The drive from Lauren? Gold. I fed snippets to a Sun-Times stringer. Off record, crypto fraud ties to Goldman execs. The story dropped like a bomb. Windy City Wolf. Hayes airs CryptoCon? Shares tanked harder. His boss suspended him pending review. Chaos reigned. Tommy called at 2 a.m., slurring from some Gold Coast dive. You bitch. Lauren, that backstabbing cunt fed you? I'll ruin you both. Emma too. Tell her granny's a thief. The threat chilled me deeper than any chemo chill. I filed for emergency custody grandparent rights, citing his instability. Courts move slow as molasses. But the judge, a grizzled vet from the Daily Era, granted temp visitation. First meet, Grant Park. Under the same oaks where I'd picnicked with Rick back when love was blind. Emma arrived wary. Pigtails bobbing, clutching Lauren's hand. 7 now. All gangly limbs and gap-toothed grin. Nana, she asked, peering up. Daddy says you're sick in the head. My heart cracked. Daddy's hurting.
Sweetie.
But Nana's here. Ice cream. We walked to Garrett's. Kernels popping like gunfire in the vat. She chattered school. Unicorns. How mommy cries at night. Lauren watched from a bench. Distant now. Her flip complete. Ally?
For now.
But Tommy lurked. His PI snapped us from a van. Pics hitting Insta with captions. Alienation campaign. Estranged son fights for daughter. The tide turned. Mom's groups flipped to his side. Decrying my manipulation. Controversial? Understatement. Talk radio buzzed. Is she hero or harpy? Call in. I doubled down. The secret simmering. Jack Harlan's death cert. DNA test I'd run quietly, irrefutable. Tommy wasn't just a liar, he was a fraud. Bloodline built on my omission. Release it? Destroy him utterly. But Emma's face, smeared with caramel, stayed my hand. Not yet. The climax brewed at Lauren's deposition. She lawyered up separate now, spilling to the SEC under immunity. Tommy crashed the courthouse, wild as a cornered wolf, shoving past bailiffs to the gallery where I sat. You did this, he roared, spittle flying. For what? A ticket? I made you. The room froze, reporters scrambling. Phones out. He lunged, not at me, but the table, flipping it in a crash of papers and coffee. Security swarmed, tasers humming. As they dragged him, howling, his eyes locked on mine, pure hate, laced with that old plea.
Mom.
Please.
Polarizing peak.
Headline screamed, Lotto Wars, Son's meltdown in court. Divide the Haze trended, half pitying the broken family man, half cheering the whistleblower widow.
Me? Numb. DR.
Lena called it moral ambiguity fatigue. I'd pushed him to the brink. But was the monster the betrayer or the betrayed? That night, alone in the loft, rain lashing windows like accusations, Lauren texted, he's out on bail. Talking settlement. But watch your back, he's scheming a flip. The big one. What big one? The drive she'd given me?
Hacked?
Or worse, the secret. My chain felt heavy. Key biting skin. Sleep evaded. Chased by dreams of Emma's eyes. Tommy's tears. Rick's ghost whispering. You chose wrong. Alex. Dawn broke gray. And with it, the call I dreaded. Unknown. A social worker's voice.
Clipped.
MS. Hayes. Custody hearing advanced. Your son's filing counter. Claims of endangerment. Evidence. Your unstable behavior.
And.
A witness. Says you're not fit. Witness? Lauren? The flip-flop queen herself? Betrayal's echo chamber roared. Round 2. Her move. I gripped the key. Resolve hardening. Time to unearth the grave. Courtroom 12B in the Dirksen building smelled of stale coffee and desperation. The kind that clings to divorces and DUIs. I sat ramrod in the gallery. New suit from Nordstrom pinching like guilt. Watching Tommy across the aisle, shaved. Subdued in Brooks Brothers. The picture of contrition. Lauren testified first. Perched on the stand like a deposed queen. Her voice a practiced quiver. Alexandra's been erratic. The lotto changed her. Threats. Blackmail. For Emma's safety. Lies. Slick as the marble floors. But Rico's cross-exam shredded her. Timestamps on the drive proving she'd shopped the story to tabloids before flipping to me. So, Mrs. Hayes, his niece, the J-School shark, prodded. This concern profitable? Your agent's pitching a tell-all? Lauren flushed, crumbling into tears. Jurors shifted, eyes narrowing. Score 1 for Truth's ugly cousin. Tommy's turn was the gut punch. He took the stand, voice steady, flipping to everyman hero. I love my mom. Always have. The embezzlement? A kid's mistake she covered out of love. I built my life to honor that.
But now.
The cancer, the money, it's twisted her. That Medium post? Half-truths to extort me. Exhibits flashed. My lavish loft lease. Tiffany receipts. Twisted into delusions of grandeur. The secret twist? He dangled it subtle, a deposition snippet from Rick's old lawyer. Client suspected paternity fraud. No action taken. Family harmony. The gallery murmured. My lawyer objected, relevance. But the judge, a silver-haired hawk, allowed it. Context on motives. Counsel. Motives. As if my womb's lie justified his theft. Public devoured it live-streamed. Paternity plot trended.
Forums à Blaz.
She's the real con versus Sons covering generational abuse. Emma's guardian ad litem interviewed her off-record. But leaks trickled. Nana's nice. But Daddy says she's mean. My heart splintered. The kid. Caught in crossfire, I ignited. Recess hit like a gavel to the skull. I slipped out to the smoker's alley. Chain lighting a menthol, bad habit. Chemo be damned. Tommy cornered me there. Bailiff at a distance. his face a mask of calculated calm. End this.
Mom. Drop the custody.
The SEC shit. I'll confess, the old theft. Clean slate. For Emma. Flip supreme, the schemer offering sacrifice. But his eyes? Hungry. In return? Half the lotto. Wired clean. Weary build. Family 2.0. Temptation clawed. Half a fortune.
Peace.
A granddaughter's hugs.
DR.
Lena's words echoed. Revenge polarizes because it's human. We crave the gray. Was this gray? Or his endgame? Use the cash to lawyer out a fraud. Paint me the greedy enabler? No, I said, exhaling smoke like dragon's breath. Sign the full confession.
Public.
And the paternity? Yours to carry. I won't wield it. His face twisted rage. Grief. That kitchen floor boy peeking through. You disown me? After everything? He stepped close. Voice a hiss. I know about Jack Harlan. The drifter. Rick told me, but I searched Vegas obit. Your love letters in his effects. Romantic.
Ma.
Sloppy. The world narrowed to his sneer. He dug deeper, weaponizing my shame. But in that alley, rain starting to spit, I flipped last. Pulled the key. Dangled it. Letters? Try the DNA. In my safe. Matches. You're Harlan's ghost. Release it yourself or I do. With the confession. Your call, fallen prince or phantom fraud. He recoiled. Bailiff advancing. You're insane, but the seed rooted, doubt in his empire of illusions. Verdict came swift. Joint custody. Me primary with supervision. Tommy's assets frozen pending SEC. Lauren got alimony. A side eye from the bench. He appealed. Of course. But the damage stuck. Goldman fired him. Headlines branding, Hayes heirs House of Lies. The twist dropped a month later. Thanksgiving Eve. Emma at my loft for turkey and pie. Her laughter filling the void like sunlight. Doorbell buzzed. Tommy. Uninvited. Pie in hand from stands. Eyes hollowed. Truce. No Lauren. She decamped to her parents in the burbs. Book delinked. We ate in brittle silence. Emma chattering bridges. Then, clearing plates, he cornered me in the kitchen. I confessed. To the bar. The feds. Probation. Restitution. All of it. Voice cracked. And the letters.
Iburneng.
Harlan's mind to bury.
Stunned.
The schemer. Self-slayed.
Why?
For her. He nodded to Emma. Coloring at the table. You took the fall once. My turn. A beat. Then the bomb. But the lotto? I hacked the trust. Siphoned 10 mil before the freeze. For Emma's future. Anonymous. You'll never trace it. Theft again. But this time, for the kid or his escape hatch, rage flared. But I saw the gray, a father's flawed love, mirroring my own. Controversial to the core, no villain pure.
No giro uns carred.
I could sue, expose, shatter it all.
Or.
Keep it, I said, voice steady. But touch her, and Harlan's truth goes public. With receipts. He nodded. Gone by dawn. Emma hugged me fierce. Love you. Nana. Daddy too. Always, I lied. The word tasting of ash and absolution. Months blurred. Therapy, Remissions, Emma's recitals where Tommy lurked in shadows, nodding distant hellos. The public forgot. Chasing fresher scandals.
Me?
I funded scholarships for single moms with felony records. Kids like Tommy once was. Redemption's quiet work. But the twist lingered. Debate fodder in my mind. Was it happy, family fractured but functional? Or tragedy, cycles unbroken? Lauren's book dropped. Betrayed by blood. Painting me saint. Him devil. I didn't read it. Some graves stay shut. Last spring, chemo scars fading. I stood on that same pier. Wind healing. Emma's hand in mine. Tommy's silhouette across the lake. Watching. Always. Revenge, served, cold and complete. But the cost? A mirror I couldn't unsee. We were all betrayers. All redeemed. In America's endless gray.